No, but he was like on my butt. I didn't realize he saw that.
Mayor Kramer,
Here.
Vice Mayor Slutin,
Here.
Councilmember Downey. Here. Councilmember Hooton.
Here.
Councilmember Wilson.
Here.
Thank you. Now, if we may, let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing afterwards for our invocation. Sure. Vice Mayor, could you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Pastor Gravison is going to do the invocation tonight. Thank you again for doing that.
There we go. Okay. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you with grateful hearts this evening. Lord, we thank you for the beautiful weather that we have been having, the mild summer thus far. We ask for that continued blessing, Lord, as we go forward. We thank you for the beauty of our lake and the surrounding area that we love so much, but that we are also so proud of. We ask you, Lord, to bring the other people here to enjoy it and the revenue that comes with it, the blessings of bounty that can come with successful businesses. We ask your protection upon our city, upon our first responders, upon our government officials and those working for the city, Lord. We ask your blessing, your wisdom, and your grace as they do the business of the city. Ask your blessing upon this meeting. Lord, let the words be encouraging and edifying, and let your will be done. And we ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. May be seated. Okay, first I'm going to go over the meeting procedures. All items on the agenda will be open for public comments before final action is taken. Citizens wishing to introduce written material into the record at the public meeting on any item are requested to provide a copy of the written material to the Administrative Services Director, City Clerk, prior to the meeting date so that material may be distributed to City Council members prior to the meeting. Speakers must restrict comments to the item as it appears on the agenda and stay within a 3-minute time limit. I will have the discretion of limiting the total discussion time on any item. If you're on Zoom meeting, please note that only written comments will be taken via Zoom using the Q&A chat feature. Please enter your comment on the Q&A chat. Now, on to the adoption of the agenda. City Manager Flora, are there any modifications to the agenda?
No modifications, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the agenda in a second?
I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion's been made by Vice Mayor Slotin
I second.
and seconded by Council Member Downey. Please vote on your portal.
Motion passes with unanimous vote from the council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, we're now going to move on to presentations. We first have the presentation of July's adoptable dogs. Do we have one?
Unfortunately, tonight we do not.
All right. That was always a high point.
I know. I'd rather see the dogs too.
I wasn't going to go there.
They had a pretty busy day today. Lieutenant Peterson asked me to come relay the statistics for the shelter. For this year today, we've taken in 227 dogs. 233 have left the shelters. 47 rescues, 167 returned to owners, 18 adopted, 1 owner euthanized, with a 99.23% live release rate. Current shelter population as of today's date, there's 58 dogs in total, 52 adult dogs and 6 puppies. There is currently 1 cat in the facility and 3 kittens, which is down from 7. They've issued 28 citations and 43 microchips. As far as the medical care, this is only the numbers for done in Lake County. Animals transported to Petaluma for treatment. I do not have those numbers for you, but in Lake County, they have done 175 free vaccinations from clinics, 164 vaccinations, 35 canine neuters, and 42 canine space. That's all I have. Thank you.
So those numbers, the 175 and 164, those are, did you
Those
say
are only the numbers that are done in Lake County.
in Lake County?
In Lake County, they use a
Yeah.
different system or a computer in Petaluma. He did not have those numbers to give me to you tonight. So there
these-
should be additional spay and neuter numbers.
So these are all North Bay
These are all done in Lake County
or North Bay?
for North Bay.
Okay.
But there are additionals, like I said, which are in Petaluma, but I do not have those numbers for you.
All right. And then you said there were 47 that went to rescue.
To year to date, yes, 47.
So. is
So
that-
January 1 to July 17th.
Okay, and is there anything on that report saying what rescues they go to?
No.
Mhm. Okay, does anyone else have any questions?
One question, the vaccinations, is there a breakdown of which vaccinations were given?
The actual type of vaccinations, no, it's just these vaccinations. Yeah, he doesn't specify, basically 175 free and 164 paid.
I know you're messenger, so it's hard to answer everything.
Yeah, I have I have overseen animal control in the past, and I honestly don't know the specific shot packs that they give to the dogs. We just tell them it's their vaccination series.
So you don't know they're rabies or just,
Yeah, it would be part of rabies, but I don't know, like, if they're giving, say, like the parvo immunization
Right.
or whatnot, because that's an add-on, but
because there apparently has been some parvo breakouts here.
Lake County has been known for years to have, talking personally with the vet, having lots of parvo in the Lake County, yes.
No. No. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you. Lee.
Thank you.
All righty, next on the agenda, the presentation of the annual Lake County Tourism Improvement District Report.
Hello, I'm Brian Fisher, Executive Director of Visit Lake County, California. Thank you very much for having me in today to see the Clear Lake City Council. Nice to see familiar faces and some new faces. So we're going to dive in. This is an annual report that we do to just bring you up to date on what we did. We work off of a fiscal year. So what you're going to see here are numbers from January 1 of 24 January 1 of 24 to December 31st of 24. So these are our fiscal numbers. We will start it up there.
Hmm.
That's great. So our agenda today is really, we're gonna blow through this or get through this pretty quickly for you guys. I want to talk about who sits on the board, the economic impact of tourism in Lake County, our marketing programs in review for 2024, and just a bit of a glance, a look ahead of what we're doing this year. Right off the bat, our board for the fiscal year stayed pretty stable. Or pretty similar. We started this organization 6 years ago. Most of these board members have been with us this entire time. Everybody, Christy White over in Kelseyville, Larry Galupe down in Middletown, works at the Rancheria, Lynn Butcher, treasurer up at the Tallman Hotel, who is now dropped off the board. Wilda Schock has been our longtime secretary. We love Wilda. Alan, your city manager here, has been a very big participant in our board. David Claffey, your former mayor, is on our board and a short-term rental owner. Susan Parker, the CAO of the county. Priya Diaz, who owns Skylark Shores Resorts. Jeff Pletcher, the former director of marketing at Robinson Rancheria Casino, and Jeff Warburg, the former director of Canocta Harbor Resort, who's now on the board. So in a different capacity. But that was our board, a really active board. We get together every quarter. And it's a good board. So I can't say enough about the support the board gets. I can go to them for stuff. It's a great board. We're lucky. So the tourism and its economic impact in Lake County, over the last several years, I'll give you one, but just in the last year, 2024, our budget was $417,000. And that's all made up through the assessment that gets charged at the time of somebody booking a room. The only other difference there is the county does give us a little over 9.5% of TOT, Transport Occupancy Tax. So our largest contributor to our board is that assessment that is across the county. Then the second is the actual TOT that we get from the county. Coming in third is the city of Clear Lake at 16%. We appreciate that. And then Lakeport is right at a little over 12%. We have two contracts. We have a contract with Robinson Rancheria and we have a contract with Twin Pine. And both of those contribute as well. So we're lucky. And that was our budget in 2024, $417,000. One thing that's changed over the last few years, if you go to the next slide, is we kind of know where the trends, we know where it's coming from now. When you start this, you don't really know. You're really trying to figure it out all the time. But we really see these patterns and we know, we know how to follow it. We've had some good years during COVID, to be honest with you. A lot of people were trapped at home. They couldn't go anywhere, couldn't get in an airplane. They came here. So we've seen our numbers kind of come and go, but by and large, they continue to increase and we're pleased with kind of the progress we're making there. So we talk about the economic impact of tourism on all these communities that we live in, and the pastor alluded to it too. I mean, there's a multiplier effect for everything. Everybody who comes to town is going to spend $1 in a hotel. They're going to spend $3 somewhere else in your town or your community. So Visit California looks at this really closely. California, #1 industry is tourism. So they commission a study every year and they do it by county. So 201 million is the economic impact overall of tourism in the county of Lake. 14,000.2 million in both state and local taxes, and over 1,800 jobs are involved in. You'll look at the next slide here and they break it down. You'll see the largest recipient of visitation to Lake County is actually in food and beverage. It's second is accommodations. And then you've got entertainment and arts, people going out on the lake, people doing the stuff that they like to do, food services, grocery, and retail sales. So we talk about that multiplier effect. It's not just people coming and staying in these hotels that we're thinking about. We're thinking about all the different things that they do and how do we encourage that. So that's the economic impact. So we looked at 2024 marketing and our marketing programs in review, and there's a couple of key things that we look at when we judge our success. It's our website traffic. We pay real close attention with Google Analytics 4, our social media growth and the engagement. How long are they staying? What are they doing? Where are they going? Campaign impressions and our performance. So those are the campaigns that we run out there on digital media. Email database growth, a really big thing that's people opting in to hear more about Lake County every month. Our newsletter just dropped while I was sitting here. So email database and getting those leads. We work really hard to get the leads. Our marketing partnerships, we're in a partnership with Del Norte, Humboldt, and Mendocino counties, and we jointly cooperatively market together. And then public relations or earned media. We don't spend money on public relations. We really don't have a budget for that, but we do look at the earned media that we get, i.e. the type of press that we get, and that's important to us. So website traffic for the year was up tremendously, over 49% year over year in terms of page views. And so we're pleased with that. And they're coming to the right pages. They're coming to look, where do I stay? What are the places I go? What are the events that I want to come to? And they always love our Blue Lake stuff. We actually have it in, it just hit tonight. Blue Lakes always does really well for us. Users, 286,000 users on the site last year in 2024, and then the sessions are 327,000. So where does that traffic come from? How do we do that? It's really over here. Organic search is the #1 lead to our website. Out of that, it's direct. It's people who've literally saved our lakecounty.com in their browser, people coming directly into us. Paid search, we pay a lot of money to those friendly people at Google to run on paid search. We buy a lot of search terms, we buy search categories. We do a lot so that people can find us. And then we do paid social, which is our friends at Meta. And that's also really important. And they all kind of even out. And then you can see those top cities that we reach: San Jose, San Francisco, Sacramento, LA. Seattle popped, in Santa Rosa. So we want to reach people outside of Lake County, talk to them about coming into Lake County on Google. Next up is our Book Direct widget. Super boring, geeky stuff, but we actually have what's called it's a widget that sits on our website called Book Direct. It's a company that we've contracted with outside. It's where people search for hotel rooms and places to stay in Lake County. It's a really nice interface. It gets people the information that they need really quickly, and it gives us a ton of data on what they looked at, how many they looked at, how many nights they looked at. So Book Direct is great. We did about 64,000. I'm sorry, I'm blind. Boy, that's hard for me to see. 68,000 searches. So people search 68,000 searches. And of those 68,000 searches, almost 10,000 of those people clicked to one of those pages and actually, landed on one of our stakeholder pages. So that's the kind of activity that we want to see. And again, in our markets, San Jose, San Francisco, Sacramento, we can't seem to shake Los Angeles. We don't advertise in Los Angeles, but people from Los Angeles, they're always on our site. It's great. And then Oakland. So we love our Book Direct widget, and that company just got bought. It got better. There's cooler stuff. So we'll have more for you next year that I think is really cool to see. Next up is our organic social media. We have a contract with Karen Pavoni, who does an amazing job. She shoots all of her own photography. She writes all of her own posts. And she also is the voice of Lake County on our social media. And you got to be a voice. I mean, people respond a lot to social media these days. They want, we're constantly out there talking and doing what it takes to kind of be real. You can't just put it up there. But great stuff. She grew our Facebook followers by over 4% to 36,000. And I mean, when we started this thing, folks, we had 3,000 followers on our Facebook page. So we really know those are really engaged people. We like to see that kind of growth. And we saw another big burst of growth at 14% in Instagram. And again, where are those cities? What are they looking at? It's all these outer markets. And one of the things that's happened that's changed a lot is we have a lot more video assets. So we're able to use a lot more video in everything we do, which is highly engaging. And so we saw a big bump in those numbers. We're pleased with that. Our monthly blog, like I said, they just went out tonight. We write a blog every month. They're blogs on our website. We always keep our website organic. If you don't, Google just forgets about you. So you've got to keep stuff on your website. We put those blogs out there, and then we push them out in emails. And we watch those emails really closely to see what engages people and what doesn't engage people. We also use those blogs to land people from social media on certain places. Instead of just saying, hey, Lake County is a really cool place, 1,700 square miles to go and play. We say, and find out what's happening this summer in our summer concert series. So we give somebody something to do, and we can follow that. We see how long they take. We see where else they go on the website. It's really good stuff. And that's kind of new development. We used to not have all that stuff going, and now we're a little bit more sophisticated with it. Spring into Lake County for a clearly different adventure, and we just talked about all the cool stuff that was happening in the spring. And so good numbers there, good open rates, and really good growth across the board in just email. And we spend a lot of, and I'll tell you a little bit more what we do to do that growth. Paid search are those friends at Google. You can't live with them. You can't live without them. They get the thing about Google is it's always going to be the #1 because everybody Googles everything. And, you may see something and it has a special URL, but you're still going to Google it and you're going to come through Google. So they get all the accreditation. So they look bigger and stronger than they are, but that's the way it goes. But over 500,000 impressions, 48,000 clicks to our website from some of the search terms that we buy and from the search categories. So we bring them in, and that's a really high click rate, little 8.25% click rate. And you can kind of see the two categories, the keywords and the ad groups that we use. They're pretty dialed into Lake County. It's lakes, it's camping, it's outdoors, it's fun, it's getting away. So paid search is going to continue to stay really key for us because you got to be there. Next is our paid social, different from organic social. Karen's doing organic social, and you all see that here, and everybody knows what's going on with our social here, but that's not what we run when we're running in Sacramento and the Bay Area. We have actually paid sponsored advertising, which is really talking about what a beautiful playground. It's got great pictures of Jessica in some cases on it, all of the fun stuff that we do. And again, we're leading people to a blog to read something more about Lake County, like, you know, get more interested. We just want to like make them, hey, let's go there, let's check it out. So a lot of impressions on our paid Facebook and Instagram, good click through, and we're using a lot more, again, you know, video now, which is a lot more engaging, and stories and all of that, and reels. We're able to do a lot more stuff than we weren't able to do prior. So really pleased with kind of the development there. Last but not least is programmatic display banners. And so programmatic display banners is like one of the hardest things in the world because it's super top of the funnel. It's just trying to really sell Lake County as a cool destination and really brand it. So you see, we get 5.5 million impressions, and we get like 6,000 clicks out of that. We know that's going to happen. That's what you do when you do display. And the next slide, I think, might have one of the, oops, I don't think it does, but maybe. Can we click on that guy? See what happens. There's actually a video there. May not work just because of the platform switches. But it's a beautiful, really short video. It's a voiceover, it's audio, it's really cool stuff. And that's okay. So is it because of the Zoom and people can't hear? Yeah. Anyway, it's a nice, really folksy, beautiful commercial that we run out on the internet, and good stuff. So next up, let me get back.
Threw you completely off, didn't it, Brian?
Pardon?
Threw you completely off.
I know, that's okay. Okay, our partnerships are super key. Visit California has designated 12 regions in the state, and we are in what is called the North Coast region, and we market ourselves as the North of Ordinary region, North of Ordinary, more of a kind of like a place, more of a state of mind than a location. And we have a really good time. I work with my counterpart at Visit Mendocino, Humboldt, and Del Norte, and we join together and we jointly market. And the beauty of it is Visit California matches us with our dollars, and we were able to just do a lot more stuff collectively than we can do individually. We can't afford a lot of the stuff Lake County and Del Norte, Humboldt, Mendocino, a little bit more, but we're able to do a lot of joint stuff, but a lot of great impressions out of those programs on a very separate website that's called North of Ordinary CA. And then we see how many people actually click through to our website, where they go, good engagement. And then the big thing is we do a lot of stuff with email with this group, because one thing we all agree, the four of us, is that we need to grow our databases. So we kind of focus on how do we grow those databases collectively, and we all share with each other. And so we added through North of Ordinary over 3,000 contacts to our email database, which were opt-in people wanting to know more information about Lake County. Good stuff. We were also their top blog post, when their top social media post, which was our map over there, our crazy illustrated map that we did. Brittany did this. She's great. They put it out there, and you can see like 39,000 impressions off of a map. And then everybody called and they wanted us to mail it to it. It costs $1.20 for us to mail a map. So it's kind of painful, but we did. We mailed a lot of maps, but all good stuff. So we work really well with these folks. It's a really good organization. And I can lean on those people for a lot of stuff. We're going to continue to support it. We've always supported the CTA program, the Certified Tourism Ambassadors. Anybody here that travels knows the first thing you do when you go to a strange place is you ask a local where to go. And, that is exactly what this program does, is it seeds the market of really smart people out there to be able to talk about what's in Lake County, how do you use Lake County, how do you, everything. CTA program is a great program, and we're going to continue to support it financially and physically with all the material that we do for them. So we'll continue down that vein. Next up is trade shows, a lot of trade shows. Visit California does a big trade show. We attend the trade show. I mean, part of this world, like we all know, is just showing up. And so in the world of destination marketing, California, largest destination marketing organization in the world, we show up and we're very present at these organizations so that they know that Lake County is in the game, we're playing the game, so we get the love. And that's kind of, it's taken years to get to this place, but we're in a pretty good spot with that. And so we hear a lot from them as well. We also attend with our group, Del Norte, Humboldt, and Mendocino, the Travel and Adventure Show down in Santa Clara every spring. We did last year, we got over 1,000 emails out of that, standing on a trade show floor forever. But people come up, it's super cool. People want to know about Lake County. They have a story to tell about Lake County. They're curious about Lake County. They've never heard of Lake County. I mean, it's really amazing. And they're all Bay Area. We're a drive market destination. So it's a good place for us to be. And we're going to continue to do that. You can see our kind of crazy booth. We got a great booth right across from like the big auditorium, Rick Steve. So we get all sorts of traffic. It's a good spot. And then we, through the Lake County Wine Grape Commission, they offered us a place in their booth at the San Diego Food and Wine Festival. So they had to twist my arm to go to San Diego in November. It was such a drag. I mean, it was really rough. And we give away loads of magazines, loads of maps. And again, people want to know, where's Lake County? Or I want to know more about Lake County. So it's really fun to kind of see people, really curious about it. But it's a really nice thing. Again, good partnership with the Lake County Wine Grape Commission. Very nice of them to do that. And I told you we don't have public relations. We don't have a PR firm. We don't pay for PR, but we get a lot of good earned media. Basically, it's people picking up and telling stories about Lake County and about some of the things that people can come to Lake County and do, whether it's putting us on a wine trail, or talking about Peace and Plenty saffron over there. So we pay attention to this because we even had some stuff in Spanish down in Travel and Leisure, in Espanol down in Argentina. And so, that's how you reach people is just people read about you. They want to know about you. And last but not least, just a quick look ahead. We're kind of already halfway through the year. And you'll be happy to know, next up is hot off the press, literally arrived today. Late afternoon is our new magazine, Lake Life. Second issue of the magazine. It's a beautiful magazine. It's going to go we printed 20,000 copies, 12,000 are going to go all around the county, and 8,000 are going to go all up and down the I-5 corridor into the hotels and motels and everything that people lead into here. And we're over at the Sonoma Charles Schulz Airport. So we just want to be places where travelers are and people can find out more about Lake County. So we're happy about it. It's a profitable magazine. We don't lose money. We don't use any of our stakeholder money. We produce a magazine just like anybody else produces a magazine. And this is number 2. We do it in partnership with the chamber, a lot of work. And last but not least, let's see if we can get it to roll. Well, yeah, the whole thing is an embedded video, but so I'll just tell you a little bit about it because it's I wanted to show you because it's kind of sexy and it's fun. The deal is the Lake County Wine Grape Commission did a shoot for us. They brought a videographer into the county for 5 different. Oh, there we go. So that's a really long ad. We'll never buy that anywhere, but we've broken that into 8 seconds, 15 seconds, 12 seconds. That's 4% of the video that we had shot, but we have a really great world-class video. The music rarely even plays with video anymore. As we all know, we watch our computers. We don't usually listen to the video. So if you don't like the music, most people don't, and we actually have versions without. But the idea is that we've kind of got a really nice asset bank of digital assets that we're using now, which are a lot more engaging, and it's a little easier to kind of put a little bit more sizzle on what we've been doing. So happy about where we are, and I'm open to questions and would love to answer anything you guys have for me.
That was a great presentation, Brian. Do we have any questions? Vice Mayor, you look like you're
Almost there. Do you see any actual improvement in hotel occupancy?
A good question, Dirk. We look at numbers and receipts that come in. I mean, every quarter for sure. I'm looking to see, are we growing our number? We're growing our number, and we just had this discussion at the Board of Supervisor meeting. We were in, I want to say, it was 24 TOD for the county, or TOT for the county was 1.2 million, and in 2023 it was 970,000. So we know that number is growing, and that's about the only thing that we can do. Sans, I mean, if we had a more sophisticated, let's say, marketplace, we would have people who would be using booking engines that would tell us a lot more information. Like that Book Direct widget that I told you, that works with about 300 booking engines. And so we could then draw the line between somebody who came in from our advertising efforts to actually staying 3 nights at the Days Inn. But nobody has that kind of unfortunate booking engine. So a lot of it's anecdotal. I go out and I see people, but I don't have the holy grail for you. Don't have it.
any questions? Just one, what could Clear Lake do to help our numbers relative to everything else?
Well, I mean, I think your rebranding is great. I mean, the more you guys can help us amplify what you have, the better. And that's kind of my total message. Like, just help us amplify, whether it's a newsletter, which have gotten really good, your new branding, just help us amplify what there is for folks to do when they come to Lake County and they come to Clear Lake. Just give us that kind of information, and we'll take that and run with it all day long. So it's kind of a short answer, but
No,
those are the things that we can do.
okay. Well, thank you, Brian.
Thank
That
you,
was
everybody.
Great
Appreciate
presentation
it.
as always. Okay, now we'll move on to public comment. This is the time for any member of the public to address City Council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow council or staff to discuss issues brought forth under public comment. Council cannot take action on non-agenda items. Concerns may be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda if it makes sense. Please note the comments from the public will also be taken on each agenda item if you have something that might fit under that. Comments last will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Please keep that in mind. So first of all, we have 3 submissions for public comment. The first one is from Brenda Story. Come on up and introduce yourself and tell us where you reside.
I live here in
Luck of the
Clear Lake.
draw.
Do you want my street address?
Yeah, just-
No, just here in Clear Lake.
Okay.
My concerns are, within the last 2 weeks, we've had our road resurfaced. I should say, scraped down and added dirt and some rock, whereas before we had gravel. And my question is, and which I've presented, and we don't want just dirt and a little bit of rock in it. We want the gravel back put on it where we don't have the dust concerns. And we're just wondering why they can't do this. And at this point, I also found out that our particular road is considered to be a public road, yet I live at a dead end. And one of the main roads that runs off of Old Highway 53, which is Lakeview, is considered a private road, which doesn't make sense. That road needs to be repaired. And from what I'm gathering is the residents on that street are the ones who need to pay for the repairing of it. I mean, I'm just totally baffled by it. We live off to the side. You can't get to our place without going up Lakeview. So how is that a private road to where the homes that live on Lakeview have to repair that road? I mean, there's what you call easements, and I just don't understand this. I know you can't answer anything, but these are some concern. How did they break this map up to where there's public and private,
Okay,
which doesn't make any sense?
I've got your telephone number. Perhaps we can have a staff give you a call.
That would be nice. I've been there probably 4 or 5
If we
times.
have an answer.
One time did I get somebody who called me back, and that was
Okay,
that.
well, we'll
Very
try harder.
nice. Okay,
Thank you so much for your comments.
thank you.
Next person, Willis Long Jr. Willie, okay, Willie.
I'm Willie L. Long Jr. I live here on 42nd Avenue in Clear Lake, California. This is about my 5th visit to you people. So
We'll try not to be too hard on you.
I'll try not to be too hard on you.
There you go.
I'm also the incoming commander of the American Legions on Austin Avenue. Okay, I have 2 issues. First issue is old, Moss and 40th. I've been complaining about that for over 7 years. And it seems to be deteriorating every time I complain about it. I've had to redo the front end on my car. And I'm quite certain almost everybody else in the Highlands or in the avenues who has across that intersection have had to do the same thing. You have Caltrans, which is right there at that corner. And when I first talked to you guys, you said it was a partnership that was going to be going between Caltrans and the city, and it is a city street. And Caltrans backed out of it. My point is if Caltrans back out of it, do it and charge them. That is too busy of an intersection for it to be in the disrepair that it's in. Okay, that's my feeling. And if I got to come back now every month and complain about this, I will do it. My second issue is on Austin Way. You guys did repaving on Austin. You didn't go all the way to 53. Well, the Legion sits right there where you stopped at. I don't understand that. I don't understand why you guys, and there's still homes that go all the way out to 53. Why you stopped that short in doing the paving of it. We would have liked to have a nice little road in front of the Legions and had a nice little driveway. So like everybody else too. We're paying taxes, we're supporting our local. There's absolutely no logical reason why that couldn't have went there. Okay, I think I got my 3 minutes in. I'll be back next month.
Again, if we can answer that question, I'll have somebody give you have your phone number here, so
Here's my card.
I have it on here. I'll give it to. Thank you again for your comments as well. The third one I have here is Lori Aiken. Lori, you want to come on up? Tell us your name and where you live.
My name is Lori Aiken and I live off Burns Valley Road in Clear Lake. And I have 2 concerns. One is on Burns Valley Road where the new Oak Valley Villas are, the new apartment complex, kind of kitty corner to the senior center, is a huge traffic problem. The people that, before that complex was built, there were hardly any cars ever even parked in front of like Austin Manor, Autumn Village there. So it was fine. After the complex, everybody parks their cars along Burns Valley Road on both sides of the street. And every day that I drive that road, I get to the library and hold my breath that no one opens their car door if a car is coming in the opposing direction. It is so narrow there that it's just an accident waiting to happen. And I don't know if and when the sports complex ever gets going, what that's gonna do there for traffic or whatever, but I don't know why there can't be no parking signs, at least on one side of the road, the new complex side of the road, because their parking lot is half full. They don't park in the lot there. We check it every time. There's usually a minimum of 10 cars along the road. And it's just an accident waiting to happen. So people don't think about it when they're in their car about opening the door if another car is coming. So I'm concerned about that. My other concern is with animal control. On May 4th, we had two dogs, two small dog litter mates dropped near our property, dumped. We weren't looking to adopt dogs, but I called animal control. They called me back, asked me to text a picture to them, and they would come out and check them for if they're chipped. I sent the picture. No one called, no one came out. I texted Terry a few times, no one responded. I called again, no one responded. So here we are 10 weeks later, and we have two dogs that we don't really want, but we're caring for them because they were really abused. Because we have had them for 10 weeks, we still can't pet them. So I'm just really concerned about the response from animal control. I like the people who are come out, Julia, all those people that come out are great. But there was just absolutely no response, and now we're stuck with two dogs. So if you need some adoptable dogs, we will be adopting them out as soon as they're human, they trust humans. So those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Akins. Those are the last of the ones that were sent in ahead. Is there anyone in the audience that has a comment? Would like to come up? Okay. Seeing none, is there anybody on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There are no comments on Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. We will now close public comment then. And we'll move on to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved in one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the council requests otherwise, or if staff has requested a change under adoption of the agenda, in which case the item will be removed for separate consideration. Any item so removed will be taken up following the motion to approve the consent agenda. So.
Mr. Mayor,
Oh, yes.
it came to my attention just a short time ago that the county would like some further amendments to the PEG agreement, which is item number 10. So we'd request that the council pull that off from consideration.
Okay, so we'll consider that immediately after we deal with the consent agenda.
No, Mr. Mayor, not tonight.
Oh, you want to pull it off completely?
We're gonna have to pull it off completely.
Okay. Very good. Is that the only item you have? Is there anybody on council that wants to pull an item for separate consideration? Mr. Vice President, Vice Mayor, you look like you're ready to say something. So, nope, sounds good. Then, will somebody make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented with the exception of item 10, which has been pulled?
Mr. Mayor, we should double check if there's any public comment on the.
Is there any public comment on any consent agenda item? All right, seeing none, is there any on Zoom? Okay, now I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 10.
Okay, a motion's been made by Vice Mayor Slotin
I'll second it.
and seconded by Councilmember Wilson. Please vote in your portal.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right. Well, now, now move on to item 11, business. Presentation and discussion of the feasibility report from Sonoma Clean Power to provide service within the city of Clear Lake.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'll just invite Jeff Cyphers up. He's the CEO of Sonoma Clean Power. And he has quite a number of slides to go through talking about their agency and how they may be able to benefit the city of Clear Lake. So there's a little bit of history there, but I think it's covered pretty well in Jeff's presentation. So I'd like to just turn it over to Jeff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council and staff. I'm very happy to be invited here. Thank you. Thanks. So I want to begin by just saying we can go at your pace. When you're tired, tell me to stop. If you have questions, please interrupt me. I think when I did this presentation on Tuesday at Lakeport, my side of the presentation was about 30 minutes, and then the council continued for a while. The supervisors had a longer presentation. They wanted to know more in depth, and so this is really up to you. So I'm here before you, let's see if I got the buttons right, to talk about an opportunity that is rapidly expanding around California, where cities and counties are choosing to produce their own energy from a generation standpoint, but they're not replacing utilities like PG&E. And so I'll explain how that works. It basically becomes a partnership between the cities and counties and the larger utility. And so tonight's presentation, I want to talk about some of the progress that our board, we currently serve Sonoma and Mendocino counties today, has made in response to initially the county's request for service, and more recently the option from Lakeport and Clear Lake making that request. And then really talk through the process, the benefits, the risks. I want to be fully transparent about what this is like. This is not a sales pitch. We don't earn a profit. And really get into what it would be like if Clear Lake was part of this program. So, let's see, it's a little sticky. So I want to begin really with what we are. So starting in 2002, California, this is following the energy crisis. So this is Gray Davis getting recalled, the Enron scandal, all of that kind of stuff that happened. There was a pretty big outcry by ratepayers to have better oversight and have more scrutiny, more public meetings, less risk of having another Enron scandal in the future. And of course, that led to PG&E's bankruptcy. And in fact, in Southern California, that utility almost went bankrupt. And so what came out of that was the invention in California of a program called Community Choice Aggregation, or CCA. And what that really is something we'll kind of unpack in this presentation. But it very quickly grew. So in 2010, it took a few years, but the first one of these programs got off the ground just north of San Francisco in Marin. And in Sonoma County, we started the second one in California in 2014. And then since then, there are now 25 operating programs around California, and we serve a majority of electric customers in the big utilities in California now. So we're actually serving, when you don't look at the municipals like Los Angeles and Sacramento, we're serving a significant majority of electric customers with power generation. And what I want to emphasize is that statement in bold. So we replace power sources, the generators, but we don't do anything with the wires. We don't do anything with customer billing, and we don't replace PG&E. PG&E still has the same exact amount of profits. They have the same exact amount of staff, and they still manage the grid as we know it today. And so the sad part is we have no say over when they turn your power out. They still have all that control. But what it gives us is a tool to harness a portion of the revenues that used to go to power plants under PG&E's management, and now they go to power plants under the public management. And so we can actually trim costs in most years a little, and we can also use those funds to invest and make local investments. So we'll talk about some of those advantages. So the key reason why most regions choose ultimately to join a CCA like Sonoma Clean Power is really to give your constituents a choice that they haven't had before. So today they must buy their power generation service from one utility, from PG&E. And when a CCA comes along, they have an option now. They can stick with Sonoma Clean Power, or they can choose to opt out of our service and go back to PG&E. And so having that choice is one of the key value propositions that CCAs offer. And the one key thing to know, and this is an important one for any local government to consider, is that when there is a public nonprofit power provider that is formed like Sonoma Clean Power, and if you choose to join, then all of your residents and businesses would default into our power generation unless they make a choice to opt out. And that's state law. So we actually have to become the default power producer for your constituents. And that was set up really to prevent us from behaving like what programs that are called demand response, or sorry, direct access providers in California that were for-profit entities that were cherry picking and providing power only to the very most lucrative customers. So these might be large industrial customers where they can make a big profit. And so this was imposed on CCAs, and the import though to understand is an election to join is a process where your constituents come into our service with a clear option to leave. So just for those who are visual learners, the kind of graphic shows that we do the power plants. We replace PG&E's power plants with ours. PG&E still does the delivery and the customers receive those services. One thing that's often asked is, doesn't this cut PG&E jobs at power plants, or doesn't it have an impact on PG&E's power generation? The answer is no, and there's two reasons for that. One is PG&E has very few power plants today. In the mid-90s, they were forced to sell almost all of their power plants. That was part of what the failed experiment of deregulation in California that didn't work so well. And so they have very few power plants left. The other reason is when we form or when we take customers, generation customers away from PG&E, our customers are on the hook for making sure that any costs that PG&E still has that were originally set up for our customers, we still have to pay. So there's absolutely no ability for us to reduce their revenues or profits in that regard. So a bit, yes, please.
So you're a nonprofit.
So are
you subject to the PUC at all?
So we're technically we are a government entity because we're formed by cities and counties. So I'll get into the JPA that we operate under. So as a not-for-profit, we have a limited set of regulations under the CPUC, but it's more limited than PG&E. Yes.
So you charge PG&E, and then PG&E delivers to us and we pay PG&E.
So I'll show you that graphically in a couple slides. Yes, absolutely. So we did start service to customers in Sonoma County in 2014, and Mendocino County had been asking for service actually since we began, but we needed to start somewhat modest territory because we realized we were just the second of these programs in California and didn't have a playbook yet. So we waited until 2017 to serve Mendocino County. So they've been getting service since then. And so I talked about the opting out or staying in. What we found is that about 13% of customers choose to leave our service and go back to PG&E. The number one reason why is that the majority of those folks who decide to leave don't like government getting involved in their lives in any way. So they just want to have nothing to do with government. A few of them leave because they want to save money, even if it costs them more. So we do help customers see kind of what the price difference would be. And one of the tools that we have that I really like that we just created about 6-7 years ago is if a customer doesn't trust us about our claim, we get PG&E on the phone and we have a 3-way conference call and we get PG&E to verify what we're claiming. And that has proven to be really valuable. One key thing is we cannot use tax dollars. We're a joint powers agency, and we have to recover all of our costs through rates. So we cannot use tax dollars, and we cannot contribute to tax dollars. I mentioned the oversight function after the Enron scandal, so I'll skip to the next slide. So I wanted to give just a couple visuals. We build large machines. We build large wind projects. This is a 46 megawatt wind project out in Livermore. So it's not all local. And in fact, a number of our projects are around the Western US. Everything we've built ourselves is in California, but Sometimes we need to build where it's inexpensive. We compete on rates, so we can't just rely on local projects when they're more expensive. Here's that same project. It was really fun to climb one of those turbines. That was a really wild day. So we also do small scale stuff. This is a 1 megawatt solar project on the Lavia Ranch just outside Petaluma. So we look for old dairies that may not be operating or other properties like that. And we can rent property from those folks and give them rent. And then we can use their land to produce power. And increasingly, we're seeing that opportunity with solar and now batteries for producing smaller power systems. We also work with nonprofits. So one of the things we've learned is if we can help a nonprofit get an electric delivery vehicle or car and get over the purchase price, their fuel cost is lower, their maintenance is lower, and they save a lot of money over time, but it's that purchase price that's the hard part. So we have a grant program where we offer nonprofits for this kind of vehicle up to $22,500 as a grant that gets them way down to a gas price vehicle or below. And we're seeing, we have 20 of these out now, I think, in the community. And we're seeing that becoming a more and more popular program where nonprofits who are doing good community work are saving money over time. We have a lot of school programs. So this is big part of the value that we have is kind of outside of rates. And it's really investing in the workforce, in technical education. We have programs that start in elementary school. They run all the way up through the trade schools and the community colleges, scholarships, curriculum, hands-on training. These kids are building a street legal electric car that they can drive when they're done with it. And they really like that program. And so I wanted to give an update on our progress. So in May, we did complete a feasibility study at the request of the Board of Supervisors. And what we found in that study were two very important things. One is that expanding service to Lake County in the year of 2027, and I'll get to why it would take so long, would not have a negative financial impact on our existing customers. And that was a key hurdle to get over. If that was going to happen, we were going to have to really think long and hard. The other is that it looks like under most future scenarios, a majority of the time we could provide some cost savings to Lake County according to our study. And I'll tell you about those caveats in a second. The update on the right, and this was kind of more for the supervisors because they hadn't heard this new update, but for you, what I'll say is the PUC changes their rules all the time. About twice a year, the PUC will make a major rule change or a regulation change that affects the whole power industry. And we're now part of that because we are somewhat regulated by the PUC. And the way that that becomes most impactful for us is the PUC fully regulates PG&E. And PG&E has fees that still apply to our customers. And it really comes down to those contracts PG&E signed 10, 20 years ago when all our customers were with PG&E and our customers then left. And they get to, or they have to sell some of those contracts into the market. And if they sell it at a loss, we have to make them whole. So we have that fee. And how that fee gets calculated just changed on June 26th. And that decision actually makes our good years better and our bad years worse. And so it just added volatility. So whereas the feasibility study was looking at savings that were estimated majority of the time between, I think about 5 and 10% or so, we're now looking at savings that vary from like 2% higher costs-ish to maybe 15% lower costs. So the band got wider. And we don't love that. We'd much rather have a stable business. But you'll see tonight, I'm going to disclose a number of things that are risks. So the progress to date is that our operating board did start a process 2 months ago to consider offering service to County of Lake and the 2 incorporated cities, including Clear Lake. And I'll be asking them on their August 7th meeting to finalize that offer and make a formal offer so that you have something to consider and you know exactly what's in front of you. Tonight's an informational item, but when I come back following that meeting, if you wish me to, I'd like to give you something specific so that you have something to react to. And one thing they asked me to emphasize is that we're very serious about developing new geothermal power. We, about 4 years ago, identified a problem in California, which is that California is moving very rapidly toward more and more renewable energy, but we are not spending any less at all on natural gas fired power plants. In fact, we're spending more than we ever have, and we're not closing them either. And that's a problem because we have natural gas power plants that are only running a couple hundred hours a year, like 1 or 2% of the time, but we're paying them more money than we ever paid them before. And that's because they have to stay hot. They have to be ready to turn on at a moment's notice. They have to be fully staffed. They have to be fully maintained. And inflation has driven up those prices. So what we're seeing now is that a world that's primarily solar and wind and even batteries will never solve that problem, because in the middle of winter, when it's been dark for a week and the wind's not blowing and the sun's not shining, the batteries are empty, there is no renewable resource except for a very small number of things like biomass and geothermal. So we've identified expanding geothermal as a cost savings measure for California. And we've been working with the Department of Energy and the federal government, and even in the Trump administration, to verify that. And what we're finding is a future 20 years from now with about 600 megawatts more of geothermal in this region across our 3 counties would lower costs about 30% relative to no geothermal. And that's a big deal. A future that relies solely on solar, wind, and batteries and existing geothermal is a more expensive future. So we're really focused on that. So I briefly mentioned that Sonoma Clean Power is a joint powers authority. What I want to say about that, happy to answer any questions about JPAs in general that aren't too technically legal. We can have our attorneys talk if we get into that kind of stuff. But the most important thing I think for a council to understand is we cannot pass any liabilities that we have to our members. There's no clear mechanism for that to happen, and state law is very clear that our assets and our liabilities are not the assets and liabilities of our member cities and counties. And this is really important because as of today, we have about $3 billion of power supply contracts. And it's such a large number because, not so much because we're a large service provider, but because we have to buy power on 10 to 20-year contracts in order to finance their construction. If we bought power 1 year at a time, we wouldn't be able to build new resources because you can't really bank that. So it's such a large number that if we defaulted or if we were ever in bankruptcy, it's really important that none of that liability can flow back to members. So that's one of the things that I would expect your council to have questions about, you know, if we were moving forward, about exactly how that mechanism works. The flip side of that is, so that's a good thing because it means that you don't carry that financial liability. The downside is we also can't transfer funds into your general fund. So we have a firewall that says we can't take money from you other than paying your bill, and we can't give money to you. So it is a clear separate entity. And I've been really happy about that scenario because I think it's helped members get comfortable with the risk side of things. We do have the cities of Sonoma County and Mendocino and the 2 counties themselves as members. There are 2 cities, Ukiah in Mendocino and Healdsburg in Sonoma, who have longstanding full municipal power utilities where they actually own the wires as well. And so they're separate. They already have their good thing going. Their rates are half of our rates. I'm really jealous of that. But those entities that are on our board serve. We have a physical meeting location in Santa Rosa. We also have a virtual option for remote attendance, and in Lake County, that might be an important thing because it takes a while to get over the hill. Our staff is about 55 people today. So the key roles of our board, really the things you might expect: approving the budget, setting rates, having the CEO review, and then really importantly, setting all of the policies and plans for how we purchase power and how we deliver service. One of the oddities in the power sector is a lot of power supply contracts are negotiated in principle over a course of a year or even two, but then the final contract price is bid and then signed within 2 hours. And that's a competitive process that's normal in the market. So because of that, we have a mechanism where the policies that govern that process are very, very important. And so the board sets those policies about what kinds of technologies we're pursuing, where we're prioritizing, whether we have special labor standards and environmental standards and so forth. And then when we actually comes time to sign a supply contract, we have the chair, the vice chair, myself, my power director, our attorneys, and we all get together and we sign outside of a board meeting because we have to do that very expeditiously and quickly. So I actually hit this slide earlier about the JPA. So this is about the liabilities, so I'll skip that one. Talked about a little about why we farmed, but really helping deliver benefits in air quality and climate, really helping smooth out electric costs. We can't always be cheaper than PG&E, but about 80% of the time our history is that we have by a small amount. But we also create balancing accounts. In a really good year, in fact, like last year, we were able to bank about $100 million in a balancing account that we will be using to subsidize rates next year when costs are going to go up. So we're trying to smooth things out for customers so they don't see the rapid changes. And that's proven to be a really successful method. Mentioned about really helping customers cut their energy use, but investing in local energy resources is a key goal of ours. We've spent quite a bit of dollars investing in third parties, building local resources in Sonoma and Mendocino County over the years. But we just in the last year started our own division to build, own, and operate our own resources instead of just using third parties. And that's important because federal tax credits for renewables are probably going away, almost certainly. So having public agency owning and operating is actually a financial advantage now for the first time ever in California. So I talked briefly about how we're default service and how California requires that. Let me say a bit more about what that means for a customer. So when we roll out to a new region, we send customers a number of notices, and they then have an option to call us, get on the website, and tell us they want to stay with us or they want to opt out and go back to PG&E. And so that's a 5 notice period over 5 months. And for 2 months before, a month during enrollment, and then 2 months afterwards, that process unfolds. If a customer opts out during that 5-month window, we don't charge them for that. That's a free decision. If they wait till after that period, there is a $5 charge for residents and a $20 charge for businesses. So it isn't free, but it's something that we're trying to keep those fees nominal just to our administrative costs. And if a customer does opt out of our service, they have to stay with PG&E for 1 year. So they can't shop back and forth quickly. We don't have that time limit. So a customer can leave our service at any time. So if things moved quickly, and that's a huge if, the soonest we could really offer service is in that middle of the chart in the month of May of 2027. And that has to do with the PUC, who does have has a few ways that it regulates us. And one is about the timing of expansion. So what we would have to do is have conversations this year, make a decision about proceeding by the end of this calendar year. And then it would kick off a process where we would be out in the community providing a number of presentations at community events, doing social media, and throughout the middle of 2026, making sure folks are aware this is coming and the folks who are interested getting more and more information. And then the noticing would begin in 2027 throughout that period where May would be an enrollment month. If this council chose to wait, then and not make a decision by, say, end of October or mid-November, maybe at the latest this year, then that timeline gets pushed back to about a year. So each time you make it past the January date, it would delay a year to the following years. And that's because of the commission's waiting period. They have a waiting period so that there's notice that can be provided to PG&E and to others and make sure it's not too haphazard. So you asked about billing. So what I want to show is the first page of electric bills are ridiculous in California. They're way too complicated. But on the first page, what we've done is help keep our part very simple. So we take away PG&E's generation charges. The two highlighted lines in the middle are an example of this. And we still have PG&E's electric delivery charges, but then we take away PG&E's electric generation charges and replace that with Sonoma Clean Power electric generation charges. And we often get phone calls from customers about why are you on our bill? And so then we help walk them through what they would have paid PG&E and what they're instead paying us. So we can show them, in most years, we can show them they're provided with some savings.
Okay, excuse me.
Yeah.
Looking at my PG&E bill, on page 4 of it is like a list of about 8 or 9 items. About what are some of those charges? I see the generation, obviously that's going to be Sonoma. How about all the other ones?
So that's the only one we impact. So all of the other fees for PG&E's nuclear power plant, for their maintenance, for all that other stuff is still going to be on the bill. So we really only take off generation. That's the one small part of the business. And it's one reason why I'm going to show you we can't save all that much money. So I'm not here to say we're saving the world. Our best year was saving customers 7%. Our worst year, we were 5% more expensive. And so that's about the range I'm expecting in the future. So we're pretty close. And it has to do with the fact that PG&E still has about 70% of the power bill, and we only have about 30. So for us to save 7%, we have to discount rates $50 million just to get 7% savings. So it's a huge hurdle to produce any savings at all. It's quite a challenge. So I want to talk about some of those benefits and risks, and I'll show you a bit graphically about how the rates have been historically too. So I mentioned that customers get a new option for a power provider. I think that really is one of the keys, and something that a lot of people do appreciate when they understand the fact that they haven't had one yet. The investments into local resources, the scholarships, cutting air pollution and so forth. And then the second to last line I want to pause on for a minute. We could gloss over advocacy and say, yeah. But before I get to lower rates most of the time, which sounds like the big thing, I want to say in the last 11 years, we've managed to trim about $100 million, a little more than $100 million off of bills. And that's a great outcome. However, through advocacy, we've trimmed over $220 million off of power bills because we have pushed back on PG&E rate cases. We've pushed back on math errors at the CPUC. We have fought for better uses of fire hardening dollars instead of undergrounding a line that didn't need undergrounding where it made sense. And so that has been the most important financial benefit we've had for customers is the advocacy. And so I want to make sure you don't skip over that because when we talk about advocacy, it's kind of the biggest thing we do is fight for better laws in California that make sense and better regulations and rates. So here's the history of bills over the last decade. And I'll talk about 2025 too. So if the bar kind of goes downward, that's a year where we had savings relative to PG&E. When they go up, we were more expensive. And so you can see those are pretty small numbers. They range from about equal to as good as 7% savings in the last couple of years and as bad as 5% above. And this is on total bills. And so for us to provide that 7% savings, we have to be 20-something% cheaper on our power generation because we're such a small part of the bill. So when we say 7%, we mean your entire electric bill. That red circle matters to me. We cannot promise rate savings because we do not control PG&E. and we do not control energy markets, and we do not control regulations. We just influence them. So this is, and we're all on the roller coaster today with PG&E because the PUC is making their rates go up and down so wildly, mostly up. So we can't get off that roller coaster, but this is something that's important to me to emphasize, that we have a good history, but it's modest. It's not a perfect solution. So today, California's power sources are still a majority natural gas, nuclear, and hydro. That's not going to be the headlines you read about in the paper that are going to brag about California being 2/3 renewable. Here's the thing. Both things can be true. So according to one set of metrics and how you measure things one way, California can look really good on renewables. These are the data that get filed in the compliance reports. And so these are the actual power sources that operated in 2024 across the whole state. And so it's pretty significantly still natural gas, hydro, and nuclear. Solar has taken a big bite out of that. But again, solar has done that job entirely in the daytime and mostly in the summer months. And so that's where the geothermal comes in. Our power sources on the left, we do still have a significant amount of large hydro, but we've also invested heavily in geothermal and wind. Our supply of solar on the bottom at 8% is smaller than the California average on purpose. And it's because our customers own over 200 megawatts of solar on their rooftops. And I understand Lake County, about 15% of the rooftops here already have solar. And so what we're finding is if we built more solar, it's actually going to devalue rooftop solar, and it's actually going to be offsetting rooftop solar more than offsetting natural gas. And so what we're finding is we need to be building everything but solar, maybe a small amount of solar, especially with batteries, but not too much. On the right is our premium service, and this is for people who can afford it. So for about an extra $13 a month for a household, you can get 100% renewable power made in Sonoma and Mendocino County today. If Lake County joined, we would include those 3 counties. So renewable power that's exclusively locally made would be there, and it would have to be 24 hours a day. So it's not just solar power, not just solar with batteries, not just solar and wind and batteries, but including enough geothermal that we can supply power every single minute of the year. And so that expansion of geothermal is this key priority, and we're really looking at drawing in new investments. One reason why we created a program called the GeoZone across Sonoma and Mendocino counties is that the state of California is suddenly waking up to the same realization we had 4 years ago, that we need more geothermal. And they've already ordered the construction of 2,000 megawatts of new geothermal, which will be built by the Department of Water Resources. I'm personally very concerned that state agencies aren't going to want to listen to local governments and aren't going to want to care about things like the setback zone on Clear Lake and about our own community goals with hiring local folks and protecting seismic and air quality and water and surface resources and all the rest. So one of the reasons we set up our GeoZone was to do everything that we could to steer not only our own development, but everyone else's as well. And so in full disclosure, we can't stop the state of California from doing something, but by our existence and by the policies we set and by the history we create, we can definitely try and steer that and influence policy. And we have 2 bills in the legislature right now on this kind of a topic.
Which are?
So AB 827 by Diane Pappen and AB 531 by Rogers. Happy to chat about those too. So historically, up until now, we've looked, this is a very hard to read map, sorry. Mendocino and Sonoma counties are the black lines. The tiny little yellow area is the entire geysers complex. So this is obviously zoomed way out. You can see Clear Lake just north of there. Our early interest area is in southeast Mendocino County and northeast Sonoma County. That's where we've found geothermal resources, and we've signed contracts with partners to begin exploring in that region. And the goal is really significant with 600 megawatts. If Lake County joined, and this is obviously an if, we would propose expanding that early interest area to include some of the areas nearby Clear Lake. And so we would want to have further conversations about how do we respect the setback zone? How do we make sure we get the wisdom of your own communities who have lived next to geothermal for longer than some of our region has, and make sure that that's incorporated into the process. So I want to highlight two risks of joining Sonoma Clean Power. These are, I think, the big ones. So the first is, this is a very long-term commitment because we really do sign up to 20-year contracts and potentially even 25 years. If a customer wants to opt out, they can do that at any time. If a city wants to opt out your municipal accounts, you can do that at any time. If a city wants to fully exit participating in Sonoma Clean Power and essentially force all of your residents and businesses to leave service, we need potentially up to 20 years notice to do that cost-free. And that's because if the contract we signed for 20 years is now higher priced than we can resell it, that would drive up costs on other customers. And so I want to emphasize, this is a very long-term commitment. And one way I like to think about it is think about this as permanent. This is the kind of joint action that's difficult to unwind. And so this is the kind of thing I ask you to consider very seriously and to be nervous about. I want you to be nervous because if we can get over this, the rest of it is a lot easier. And so the length of the commitment matters. And we can talk about how the JPA works on that. The second, I've already mentioned, which is that we can't guarantee lower total rates. And just want to mention just again, changes in regulation are frequent. I don't expect a future where we would be more expensive for long periods of time, but I can't tell you that that's impossible. We can't predict the future far in advance. So this is something that we think the value proposition of local control over this, it tends toward cost savings and tends toward other benefits because we essentially harness a large amount of revenues and can use that to finance things that matter for our community. But I showed you the rate spread. It's pretty close. So our rates are pretty close to PG&E's. So I think this is my last section on process. This month and next, we are traveling around and encouraging you all to do due diligence, to work with, have your staff work with our staff, have council talk to council if this is interesting, to make sure we're really kicking the tires and answering questions. I mentioned on August 7th, our board will make a vote, and I do expect them to probably go through and make a formal offer, so that can be specific. And then for the remainder of this year, hopefully by October, but it might be until November, the two cities in the county will have an opportunity to make a decision on whether or not you're ready to consider this matter and approve it. If you are, we would then file that implementation date plan with the PUC by the end of this year. And then we could begin service in May of 2027. So it is a bit of a long runway.
Do I understand that you said once you submit it to the PUC, they can act in 6 months?
No, so they have a 1-year waiting period, and starting service before May requires that we would have to borrow funds for the purpose of doing that because seasonal power has different costs. So it turns out because solar is inexpensive and May we start producing a tremendous amount of solar power, we can actually start service in May and have no costs really flow through to our existing customers. So there's an advantage to the agency to wait an additional 4 months after January to have service. So it's like 18 months basically. And so just graphically, same thing, information here with start of service being in May, same information actually. And I'll pause there. So
Okay.
there's a lot.
I think there is a lot of information. Anyone, council have a question? I do, several. You talked about the local resource development opportunities. I guess my first question would be, How much of your own generation do you have in Sonoma County and Mendocino County at this time? And what is that, geothermal, solar, wind?
So because tax credits still exist today and won't likely be gone until next year, we really have had to hire third parties that are private companies to go out and build these resources in order to take advantage of the tax credits. Because that's changing, and next year, I'm pretty confident we either won't have tax credits or they'll be so small that they won't matter. Flipping to public ownership matters a lot. And so we saw that coming. We actually, even under the Biden administration, we believe that was the US was heading in that direction. So a little over a year ago, we did start a division with the purpose of having the engineers, the folks, the trades folks on staff to be able to do that kind of work ourselves. And we've been meeting with municipal power providers to learn that craft and be better at it. So as of today, all of our resources are through contracts with private entities, but that's going to begin to shift starting next year and growing pretty slowly in the first year or two, because we have to start small, but then growing from there.
And again, what would that source be?
So the first couple of years, we're going to be focused on easy things, which are solar and batteries. But the goal is that within a decade, we can be building, owning, and operating geothermal ourselves, which is a very complex resource. And of course, wind is kind of toward the geothermal end of the spectrum, but not quite as complex.
Okay, I noticed in your presentation, I went ahead and printed this couple pages out on the local resource development opportunities and the zone that you're talking about here. And you're looking at expanding that geo zone, so it would be, did you say areas around the city of Clear Lake?
So the interest area from not within city limits, I have not even explored that, but in county areas that aren't too far from the city of Clear Lake, there are some interesting geologic areas. There's a lot of things that have to be excluded, and that would be directed by the county of Lake and the cities here in terms of what happens here.
Mm-hmm.
But when we look at the geology and the heat resource, the southern third of Lake County is more interesting than the rest of the county from an opportunity development area.
You're talking about, I think, warm rocks, warm water, rather than steam.
So we're looking for something very different than the geysers has. Historically, all the geothermal around the US, or around the world really, was built in volcanic areas with fractured rock and existing reservoirs of water. And that's what the geysers is today. What we're looking at now is newer technology that allows us to drill into hard, non-porous rock and circulate water in a closed loop, allowing us to use vastly less water.
Heat to water.
We don't think we're going to get anything like the amount of water the geysers has. There just isn't more water. So we're looking at that closed loop technology.
Mm-hmm.
And so that does put us looking at regions outside of the Calpine NCPA area today.
Okay. And you also talked about the wind project, the one out in Morgan Valley, I think you specifically talked about. Are you thinking more wind projects around as well?
We're very interested in wind. We also know in Sonoma and Mendocino counties, it's kind of a controversial topic.
Mm-hmm.
And so both visually and because of bird mortality. So we would love to find the right places to put wind, but I don't have any plans as of the moment, other than the Livermore project we completed.
So if you found these places to do, I guess, more so geothermal and maybe wind than solar, and you put them in Lake County, would there be a priority to Lake County users of the power generated?
So there certainly could be. As of today, we think the scale of what we're looking at wouldn't require priority for you to have full access. In other words, supplying all of Lake County from new resources in the next 20 or so years that could be constructed is a very achievable goal. It's ambitious, but when we look at the scale of serving every resident and every business in Lake County with resources that are constructed newly, that's a real opportunity we have.
Well, the opportunity too is added jobs.
Yes.
in Lake County, and how, do you have any ideas what that could be?
Estimating jobs is a
I
murky
know
art.
it is.
And I don't want to put a number out today because I distrust anyone else's numbers. And before I give you a number, I want to show you the plan so that you can make your own number with it. I'd much rather tell you the dollars invested and the labor to construct, because that's a known kind of thing. And then we can have that argument over permanent jobs.
And then the other obvious thing I looked at was you have right now 11 board members, 2 from Mendocino County and 9 from Sonoma County.
Yes.
1 for each of the cities with the exception of the 2 that have their own in Sonoma. And then, of course, Mendocino, everything except Ukiah is all one thing. Lake County, you're proposing 1 for the county and 1 from, not each, but 1 from the combination of Clear Lake and Lakeport, so 2 votes. So we'd have 2 votes out of 13. Mendocino has 2 votes out of 13. Will those votes even mean anything, I guess is my question to you. You know, you have 9 votes to, even if Lake and Mendocino together only have 4, so what's the value of those votes?
Yeah. I'll tell you about the history. If things got incredibly contentious, those votes matter a lot, right? But if history is a guide, almost all decisions our board makes are unanimous. This is a very collaborative board. When things have gotten contentious, we have a mechanism where in order to pass an item, you need a majority of the votes. So small and large are treated the same. So Sonoma County is our largest entity, but a small city like Point Arena has, I think, 600 citizens. They have the same power as County of Sonoma in voting on an item, because you need a majority of numbers of directors to pass an item. And then there's a mechanism that's only been used once, which is if entities wish to veto an item or block it, then a majority of the electrical load by members can be used to have a weighted vote to do that, but you can't pass an item using that mechanism. That's a little complex. We could walk through that again a second time if you wanted me to come back on that or have council talk about it.
I'm glad that you say that you're mainly collaborative, but you see my point that
yes,
the Sonoma County wants to do something, they're going to do it.
Not in Lake County. So you're right about the agency. So Sonoma County does have a majority of votes on the board today.
Overwhelming majority.
Yes, but in order to propose a project and get it done in Lake County, it would still be permitted through Lake County and it would still be subject to Lake County's policies and jurisdiction. And so we don't take over the permitting process. So we're not a permitting entity. If we do a project in Sonoma County, we're not the lead agency. It's actually Permit Sonoma that does it. If we do one in Mendocino, it's Mendocino County. So you're correct, but we can't force something to happen in Lake County.
Or not happen. Right. I'm sure I'll have more questions later, but I do appreciate your candor with regard to, you know, the impact that this could have. I like a lot of what you're saying. I have some concerns about other things that I think are going to take more study. I read through very quickly your proposal before tonight, and I have to admit that I didn't commit nearly as much as I wanted to memory. But I was concerned that this local resource thing is of, I think, great interest to the county of Lake from an economic standpoint, as well as hopefully lower power costs to each of us individually. So again, so are no questions from the count?
I do have one.
Okay.
And maybe this answer is obvious, but some of our, probably a lot of our constituents are on low or fixed income and they qualify for discounts through PG&E. So would contracting and signing up and agreeing to stay with you put that at risk for them to lose their qualification in those programs?
No, there's no change to the discount program. All of the costs to the system to fund that discount program are on PG&E's delivery charges for all customers, and all the benefits flow through to all electric customers who qualify. So in Lake County, 46% of customers are on the low-income discount rate, and all of those customers would remain, and there would be no extra step to take to keep that. So that is an automatic pass-through.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you again. No more, one more?
Is our city manager asking for directions at this point? Like, what kind of direction?
I still need public comment here.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's just a presentation.
So, no more comments from council or no more questions from council. We'll move on to public comment. Come on up. And you know the drill. State your name and where you live.
Cheryl Allman, 40th Street, Clear Lake. I have a lot of questions on this and a lot of things that I'm kind of at a loss of some of what you're looking at. I am an ex-PG&E person.
Cheryl, you have to speak into the
Sorry,
mic.
so I do understand rates. I do understand CPUC. I do understand Lake County because I was the manager up here for a while. I took a break. There's a lot of things that don't make sense to me. In terms of the CPUC defines rates, how does those rates define how you're going to get paid or the process? You would have to move the electricity over the grid, so there would be a cost to that. The other problem is that if they are going to provide services for us, I will tell you that getting linemen up here is very difficult. And it's because the women don't want to come. So we have a limited number of actual people who can work the lines and know what they're doing. And that's a big problem for staffing. So, and we were a large company. So I've just been through that, so I'm sharing that with you. I'm not sure how the CPUC and this process of funds and how the power is going to get routed made sense to me. So it's pretty stable. Are they going to have their own lines? Are they going to try to buy in on the maintenance of the lines we already have? Independent delivery is again something that just I'm not sure how that all works. So I'm confused. And if I'm confused, having worked corporately in the whole state from Bakersfield all the way to Eureka, Humboldt, you should be very confused as well, because I can see that the solar, is pretty clean, but I couldn't ever quite figure out who was going to maintain it, who was going to do the initial components of it, how were they going to work with the Public Utility Commission for all of this. So I'm just asking you to be very cautious. It's very complicated already. And I think it would be a concern for all of us, or should be. Thank you.
Do you want to answer any of those if you could? Come on up.
I think the most important piece of that for me to respond to is that PG&E's function, the things they own, the things they operate, their maintenance, their crews, there's absolutely no change at all. So they still own all of the power lines, all the transformers, all the substations. They still maintain them. So we don't solve their hiring problem, but we don't change it either. We don't make it worse. So we're just on the power plant side and really making sure folks understand that PG&E contracts for their power the same way we do with third-party entities. And so that side of the business is really where all the difference is on power generation, so not on delivery. So the way we work with the PUC is really limited to interacting about PG&E's work for the most part, and really advocating for lower costs. But PG&E doesn't set our rates. They still set PG&E's rates the same way they do today. So I wanted to.
A question. So, I mean, obviously PG&E, sorry, is that okay?
It is.
Okay.
Thanks for asking that.
So PG&E is entitled to a certain amount of profit. Do they make that profit on the energy that you supply?
So they don't make profit off of generating electricity. They really make substantially all of their profit off of delivering it. And that law changed in the mid-90s to try to promote conservation because they wanted people to use less energy, but not have the utilities lose any profit. And so they switched the profit to the delivery side more or less entirely. There are really narrow exceptions for Diablo Canyon right now, that nuclear power plant.
That's the one.
Yes.
Nuclear.
Yes, but they're going to stop being allowed to earn a profit on that next year. So that's the end of their profit cycle for that. In other words, it's not power generation where they earn their return.
Thank you. Any other comments from Mr. Graves? Come on up. Please state your name and.
My name is Michael Graves. I live here in Clear Lake. It's my understanding that the gentleman was telling us that PG&E still owns the means of transmission. I'm thinking back to 2019 when they had the power cutoffs for everybody because of the fires. So if the customer is now paying their company and suddenly PG&E has one of their PSPS shutoffs again, I guess we're still at PG&E's mercy as opposed to the company we're actually paying. That gives me a little concern because that 2019 power cutoff here in Clear Lake, nobody's fault here, or anything like that. But that really hurt a lot of people. It was really bad on everybody. And we wouldn't be able to really have a say because we're paying one company for the power, but who delivers it still says, nah, sorry, the winds are too heavy in the valley, no power. But that's all I really wanted to state.
Yeah. Could you clarify that, sir? I think it comes down to if the power doesn't get here, we don't pay for that. But let you.
Yeah, so the amount of money that our customers still have to pay PG&E for transmission and delivery doesn't change. So they still have all of those revenues before. So we don't do a lot to help with power shutoffs. That's still PG&E's decision. It's still their job. The one small thing we have done over the years is we've found very targeted ways to reduce power shutoffs. So there's a neighborhood, that's a large retirement community near Santa Rosa, California, where we found a little tiny quarter-mile section that if PG&E undergrounded it, they could stop doing power shutoffs to that whole neighborhood. And they did it, and they stopped shutting off the power. So that's the kind of advocacy work we do, but we don't change the money or the responsibility.
But if your power doesn't get to the end user and spin that meter, then we're not being charged for that part.
That's correct. Our agency can lose money when that happens. And in a worst case scenario, we've had that happen for 2-3 weeks at a stretch in a really bad place. Some of our local tribes have had power outages that last 20 days.
Should be on the side of not having power.
Yeah, we like the power to stay on.
All right, thank you. Are there any other comments in the audience? I knew it.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Just wanted to at least give you, in case you weren't aware, the understanding that this has already gone to the Board of Supervisors and what was stated by the Board of Supervisors. I'm going to do my best to paraphrase without conveying the wrong message. We've requested staff to vet this concept so that we can get a better understanding of the pros and cons, the actual risks, at least told to us by our staff rather than by us, Sonoma Clean Power. And also for our county attorney to also engage with their attorney, just to, again, get a better understanding of the legal ramifications as well as the financial ramifications. I do know that there was some other comment that was made. It was stated to you guys that if you wanted to leave, it would be a potentially 25 year alarm or alert to say that we plan to. That's if you don't want to spend any money. If things are not going the way that you want it to, there is the idea, at least, and Jeff, please correct me if I'm wrong, of a buyout. And that number was in the tens of millions of dollars to be able to shut this off in 30 days, shut this off in a year rather than wait 20, 25 years. Now, I will give you my personal opinion on this that I'm struggling with is yes, there appears to be, and I know that this is the case because I have family who live in Sonoma County and who are on Sonoma Clean Power, that there are reductions to compared to the cost of PG&E bills on their own. But I don't know how I can deal with the fact of facing a constituent and say, yeah, this year it's more expensive. It's going to be fine. Adding to the PG&E bill when we've already been dealing with such increases, that's where I'm unsettled on how to move forward at this moment. And I've got to really think on how this will impact the community as a whole. And that's where I struggle, is looking somebody and saying, yeah, it caused the increase in comparison to where you would be in PG&E. Now, they have the option to opt out if they wanted to, but still, it's something that I struggle with because the costs are already so over the top expensive, especially for our communities that have a vastly different financial status than those in Sonoma County or in certain places of Mendocino County. So. And I don't know where Lakeport did. Their city council listened to it, and maybe we can get an update as to what that was. I haven't spoken with the city manager there or their city council.
I have a question for you. Are you going to ask your staff to collaborate with the staffs of Clear Lake and Lakeport in doing this review?
I think first we would need to, for the review, I'm sure there's no problem to reach out. We're looking at the exact same things you guys would be, so that shouldn't be a problem. But overall, I don't know, and maybe Jeff can get into it. What happens if, let's say, Clear Lake says yes and everyone else says no, or Lake County says yes and the cities say no? Is this a 3-package deal, or can it be individual jurisdictions that make this decision? Because you're your own individual selves and we are our own individual selves as well. So just further questions.
Jeff, do you have any? You've had 2 days to think about this from.
First of all, I'm grateful for Supervisor Sabatier to come tonight. Thanks. And I have no corrections to make to his remarks. In Lakeport, the council was very engaged, asked a lot of good questions, and did direct staff to work with us and with an expectation that things would become more real when and if an offer was made. And so they're looking forward to that potentially coming on August 7th or shortly after. In terms of the question, of whether or not 1 or 2 jurisdictions as opposed to all 3 would be viable, I'll be candid as staff, 2 rollouts is almost twice the work of 1. And so it is a significant increase in effort. So it's my hope that it's either all or none. But I understand politics and I understand that it may just not work out that way. What I would ask of my board to consider, and I'll share with you in advance, is if we did 2 separate considerations, I would like them to be separated in time by at least a year. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into a rollout. It's a lot of staff. I have to dedicate about 15 staff to it. And that pulls them away from other work. So I'd like to have a break in between. And so that would be my preference as a backup. But I would certainly ask our board to consider that.
All right, thank you for your candor. Are there any other comments from chambers? Okay, seeing none, is there anything on Zoom, Madam Clerk?
There are no comments on Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Well, I think it's up to us to give you direction. I'm sorry, did you have?
Yes, I do. I think something like this would, be ideal if it was more countywide, like he said, either all or none. Is there a way that we can have some sort of special meeting with county supervisors and Lakeport council members just to kind of see if we're all on the same page? I don't know if that's even possible,
It's
but
been done before.
I mean,
It's
this
been
is,
done on a couple of occasions.
I think this is something where we need that to happen, just so it should be a countywide thing, not just city.
That
Yeah.
has some merit.
We're happy to share that idea with the
Yeah.
rest of the jurisdiction.
Okay.
In the meantime, all right, do you have,
I assume that we're gonna do the same as the county and
we're gonna do,
Lakeport, the same approach, vet and
we're gonna have a vote or we just a consensus to?
consensus.
Yeah, I don't think a vote's necessary at this time. We'll engage with everyone, and then of course, we're expecting a formal proposal in a few weeks and continue to gauge after that.
Okay. Do we want to give direction then to consensus is for them to go forward, our staff to go forward with doing more research on it, come back with recommendations? Okay, I think you've got your
Yeah.
direction. Thank you for your patience with all of this. Supervisor Sabatier for your and everyone for your comments on this. So we'll now move on.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I know we have our superintendent sitting here quietly for a
Yeah, I
while. I
knew-
was
I
thinking
knew
maybe
she
you
was-
could
I knew she was
switch
sitting.
item number 13
Oh,
next.
You
Slide
want
in
to,
that order.
you want to jump? Do you think 12 is gonna?
Well, I don't expect it to take a long time, just a suggestion.
Pardon me? I loved having her sit there and wait for us.
Okay.
Unless you want to get home to, eat dinner. Like, anyhow, if you don't mind, let's go to item 12. Consideration of updates to the management classification and benefits plan and city salary schedule. Mr. City Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. So as you know, some management employees are considered unrepresented and are not represented by a bargaining group. And the way benefits for those employees are handled is based on a management employees classification and benefit plan that's been adopted by the council and updated over the years. So section 6-2.1 salary adjustments of those classifications states that management employees shall receive a salary adjustment each July 1st. The salary adjustment shall take into consideration the March to March U.S. All Urban Cities Consumer Price Index, equity adjustments based on the labor market and the financial condition of the city. Listed in the staff report are some of the recent years, actually CPI adjustments, and the increases were given to the management employees. This year, starting July 1st, all the other bargaining groups in the city were provided a 3% COLA starting July 1st. This year, the March to March CPI adjustment was 2.4%. And so at this time, staff is recommending council consider a 2.4% increase by those employees covered by the management benefit plan.
0.4 or 9?
2.4.
All right, thank you, Mr. City Manager. Are there questions? Questions? No? Comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, are there any comments on Zoom?
There are no comments on Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, I'll bring it back to council for action then. Anybody?
I will. I want to move to consider the updates on the management classification and benefit plan as suggested in the city salary schedule of 2.4% GPI index increase.
There's been a motion by Vice Mayor Slotin,
I second it.
second by Council Member Downey. Please vote on the portal.
Motion passes with unanimous vote from the council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. See, that didn't take very long. Now, we'll move on to our public hearing, item number 13. Consideration of adoption of resolution 2025-30 authorizing conversion of a portion of Acacia Street as one-way. Mr. City Manager, staff report.
Director Leba will give the staff report.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Tonight, the city council is being asked to consider adopting resolution 2025-30, authorizing the conversion of Acacia Street to a one-way street. The purpose of the staff report is to present information and recommendations regarding the proposed conversion of a portion of Acacia from Arrowhead Road to Sonoma Avenue to a one-way street. This public hearing is scheduled to solicit feedback from the council and provide transparency on the changes. Currently, the area has high traffic and safety concerns around Pomo School. There have been numerous near misses with both vehicles and pedestrians. A Blue Zones funded Safe Routes to School study analyzed the traffic and pedestrian safety issues around Pomo and Burns Valley School elementary school campuses and have made several recommendations. Last year, council approved changing a portion of Pine Street to a one-way in order to improve safety conditions at Burns Valley, which has resulted in greatly improved conditions. Conocta Unified School District has requested the city's assistance with similar improvements at Pomo before the upcoming school year begins. Right at the traffic flow, the proposed one-way conversion will improve the flow of traffic safety around Pomo Elementary School. Traffic will flow north beginning at Arrowhead, moving to Sonoma Avenue. Pedestrian and cyclist safety. This will improve pedestrian and cyclist safety, including proposed enhancements such as restriped bike lanes, striping of crosswalks for improved pedestrian crossings, and improved overall safety. Parking will be redesigned to allow for some off-street parking and some drop-off zones. Tonight, I'm asking to adopt resolution 2025-30.
Thank you, Ms. Leba. Council, are there any questions? Okay. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to come up and make some comments?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, staff. And yes, it is past my bedtime. I'm like the little, so thank you. But Becky Salado, I'm the superintendent for Conocta Unified School District. I just wanted to really come before you again. This has been an ongoing for years that we've been working on improving our safety around all of our schools. We've always been met with amazing collaboration and support from the city. I'm extremely grateful for that. And I also like to encourage you to continue that. Our process, I think, was a wonderful one. It was very collaborative. We had the support of Blue Zones, who brought in some very well-known engineers that came in and looked at various things and did I think, a very comprehensive report to get us started. We knew what our concerns were, and we reached out for help. The city, on your part, as always, was wonderful. We had collaboration, obviously, from the city manager. Addie and her team are amazing. Chief Hobbs, Chief Cepeda, we're all involved in looking at what would be the impact and what is the best way to protect our kids. And I think the plan is very similar to what we did in front of Burns Valley. We immediately saw record differences in front of Burns Valley, and it was very much appreciated by not only my staff, but the parents in the community, because they saw how much it increased safety around the school. And I believe that doing this around Pomo will be the same exact outcome. It's never going to solve it completely. I think if you go to any school, I'm going to say anywhere in the country, you know, it drop off in the morning and at dismissal in the afternoon, you have 10 minutes of well-organized craziness, even in the best of structures and infrastructure. As we all know, our challenge has been none of our schools and the infrastructure around it was ever built for the intended amount of people we have now, which is a great thing and a challenging thing. So I guess what I'm saying is I really appreciate your support as always. I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit and thank you for your support. I'm assuming you're going to support us with this, as you always do when we're looking at youth safety. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Salito.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
if it's okay, there's just a couple things I wanted to add on for your understanding. Just want to clarify that I did meet with Chief Cepeda, Captain Hill, and Fire Marshal Lancaster this week and reviewed the proposal. And I got an email from Chief Cepeda that the fire department's in full support of this proposal.
Okay.
I did a couple other things to point out. So, you know, this is just from Arrowhead up to Sonoma Avenue, that portion of Acacia. Sonoma Avenue the paving has not been completed and the realignment there because we're still waiting on the water line work from Golden State to be finished. We're told that that should be starting hopefully in August, unless we've gotten a different update. But in order to try to get this done, if the council approves this before school starts, we'll be doing some grading work up there to try to make it as good as we can for now. We would propose our staff doing the striping changes and things that are needed for this. And then we're still expecting to do the Burns Valley Arrowhead Olympic repaving project this year. And as part of that contract, we would expect to do more permanent striping. That also gives us a chance to kind of test out a couple of things before we put in a more permanent fix. So I just wanted to share those few things with
Yeah, but
council.
we would still be looking at one-way Acacia.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else, Supervisor Sabatier?
Oh, I love it. Good evening again, Mayor and City Council members. I forgot last time, my name is Bruno Sabatier. I love this, but I want you to also look at Pomo, please. Pomo is very thin. When I measured it back in 2013 and asked for changes to become a one-way, two things happened. One was good, one was not so good. One, the school buses changed their path. They do not take Pomo anymore because it takes up more than 2/3 of the road where no other car can go up there. It is hard with cars parked on the side. Their garbage cans, when it's out on whether it's Wednesdays or Thursdays, I don't remember, it just keeps shrinking the road down and there is difficulty with two-way traffic out there. What I was told was if we change one street, we have to change them all. Thank you for changing that and actually working on one street at a time and making the change. Love that change of philosophy, but please take a look at Pomo. It would be great if that was a one-way street. I know I see our transit buses going up Pomo. That is just as large as a school bus. And so that road just cannot continue with the level of traffic that there is, especially during drop-off and pickup because of school. And so please continue this methodology, but expand it a little further to Pomo to see what's possible because it's as thin as 17 feet across. And it's actually thin because of a school bus sign is on the road. But it's an area that I think is dangerous, especially when you add children who are walking on that road as well. But please say yes today because this is a great start or continuation.
All right. Thank you, Supervisor Sabatier. Do you want to?
Thank you all again. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Clear Lake staff and council for being really on the vanguard of the movement. Oh, my name, yes, Greg Dameron, Blue Zones Project.
We know that.
Yes, for the record. A real quick observation. This evening before coming here, I was there with Danny Wind, who we've contracted with to help us do traffic counts and bring some of their expertise to our efforts. And we actually witnessed a car roll through Pomo onto Arrowhead and hit two kids. Luckily, they had some scrapes and some bruises, but that happened. It was shocking to witness. And so thank you for this first step. Yes, this is very needed and appreciated. And I know that there will be more things, but I want to repeat, Clear Lake has been the beginning of a movement, at least with regards to blue zones, and the receptivity, the responsiveness, the collaboration. It's amazing. And I think, Danny, did we get a little jealousy? Yeah, he's nodding his head. So appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
No. Thank you, Greg. Are there any other? Come on up, Catherine. Introduce yourself.
Kathy Davis, Clear Lake 14050 East Lake Drive. I just found out about the public hearing. I guess I'm the only neighbor out in the area that knows about it. We were not advised of this public hearing whatsoever to know about our road being shut down. I apologize, I get nervous up here. So I agree there's a problem there. I drive Acacia Drive every day. But I think there's other ways to resolve the problem. The school district owns 11 acres contiguous to their property. They have more than adequate room to provide proper parking for all of their staff, along with a good place for a drop-off and pickup location. I think that the fact that they only took there being 2 residents on Acacia into place, there are other people that actually use Acacia to go to their homes. I apologize. So before you start sending traffic down populated side roads, the property owners should be afforded the opportunity to voice their opinions on the proposed changes. Blocking off ingress egress also affects property owners' ability to obtain affordable fire insurance. The main corridor where the school district has their additional 11 acres is Arrowhead. And it would allow people to be able to go in and out of there without putting their kids in jeopardy. Pomo is a very bad street. Again, I go on that every day. I would ask that you guys not approve this action and that you request staff to notify their surrounding property owners so that they have the opportunity to voice their opinions and to ask the school district to provide a better resolution for the problem. My property, because you closed off East Lake, I lost my fire insurance 2 years ago and was forced to go through the California Fair Plan. So instead of paying $1,500 a year, I pay over $8,000 a year. And that's because of the lack of ingress and egress. And you're continuing to take that away from me by doing this. So I'm not against it. I am for the kids to have something better. I know it's a horrible area there, but I think there's a better resolution to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Madam Clerk, is there anything on Zoom?
There are no comments on Zoom.
Okay. I will close the public hearing at this time and bring it back to council for deliberation on this. Would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, I'm just curious. She had some very valid points about there being an abundance of land on the other side of the school. Was there any kind of, I don't know who did the Blue Zone, maybe did the research, but was there any consideration for any other avenue to create a drop off and a pickup, or whoever? I'm not sure who answers it, but I'm just curious.
Good question.
I'm still Becky Slato, Superintendent of Conocta Unified School District. Yes, we did look into that quite extensively, my own team, before we reached out. And it is not feasible for us to do for a multitude of reasons. The difference in elevation back there puts us under different ADA requirements. If you've ever been at Obsidian Middle School, back in the back lot where you see, we call it the Disneyland walkway, we would have to do something like that because you have to have ADA access from the lowest part out in front of Pomo to that upper area. So that has rendered that area actually not feasible for us to do. It would, the cost of it would be something that we could not do. It would be multi-million dollars, and we would have a very intense battle with DSA to get the plans even approved to go there. I think when the property was first purchased, that was the intent, and regulations have changed a great deal since then. Thank you.
Any other follow-up? Okay.
I could just share quickly, just to give you a little bit of a visualization. So this is Pomo Elementary School, Arrowhead Road, Acacia here in front, and this is Sonoma. This is the property that was mentioned by Miss Davis that's owned by the school district over here behind it. So here we have, you know, the existing roads in place. So this section of Acacia up to Sonoma would be one way. There's no residents at all on this stretch. This is all exclusively owned by the school district. The school district owns this parking lot. The city actually owns a couple of parcels up here. There's some individually owned lots, but no residents are impacted here. So the idea would be that one-way traffic would come north to Sonoma, and then folks could travel here and come down Boxwood, Mint, or any of these other streets, which were paved last year by the city, back down to Arrowhead. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a picture of the situation. One other thing that doesn't require council action, but because of the awkwardness and difficulty is this intersection, we intend to make Huntington Avenue here a dead end so that you cannot travel out into the intersection any longer, which will alleviate a lot of safety problems that happen right there.
Okay. That makes sense. Bill?
That's all, unless you have any questions.
Any other questions? All right, I guess I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve resolution 2025-30, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Clear Lake designating a portion of Acacia Street as one-way and authorized placement of traffic control devices.
Motion has been made by Vice Mayor Slotin. And I'm looking for a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, Councilmember Wilson has seconded it.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at you doing that. Councilmember Hooden has seconded it. Oh, you will now vote in your portal.
Motion passes with unanimous vote from the council.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. So we will now move on to city manager and council reports.
I don't believe I have anything to report tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Wilson, do you have anything to report?
I have nothing to report.
Councilmember Hooden,
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Downey,
Nothing to report.
Vice Mayor Slotin.
Well, I'm boring too, so nothing to report.
And I'm gonna make it unanimous. It's been a lot of vacation time this last week and nothing's gone on. Okay, we'll move on then to future agenda items. Any council member wish to get us consensus to place an item on a future agenda? Okay, seeing none. No, do we need a, well, consensus of the council then is none? Okay, thank you. And everyone who, I did close the public hearing, Vice Mayor Slotin. And I will get to that now. So we are going to close public meeting and go into closed session. Thank you, everybody who attended.